So now we're going on to a lightning talk, and this is by Leanne, our very own Leanne, who is a distance services librarian at Sunderland, University of Sunderland. So she's going to tell us all about H5P, which I'm quite intrigued by. It sounds scary.
It's really not. It's like one of my favorite things. If I look that way, it's because I've got two screens, because I'm the technical person today, and I'm trying to look at the camera and also look at the PowerPoint. H5P is a free open source tool that you can use. You can either create an account or you can download plugins to use on your own systems, and it enables you to create interactive learning objects. So a bit of context, I'm the distance learning librarian at the university, and I spend quite a lot of time thinking, how can I engage our overseas students, of which we've got a lot, and how can we do activities with them when they aren't ever going to come here? And we've all had that issue over the last couple of years, but I've always had that issue of they're never going to come here and I need to do everything online. And so I look for various things, and over the years I've used Camtasia and Articulate and various things, and they're very complicated. And then I came across H5P, and it's free and it's super easy. So that's briefly what I'm going to tell you about how we've used it, and sort of maybe encourage you to have a look at it if you haven't already. So let me just move my thing along. Oops. Oh, bit keen. So it allows you to easily create HTML5 interactive learning objects that you can embed anywhere. You can embed them in Canvas, you can embed them on your web page. What I like about it is it's free, because at the University of Sunderland we don't have a lot of money to spend on things. And if you're so inclined, you can contribute to the code as well, if that's what you want to do. But I chose it as well because it has lots of accessible content. They've got a really good accessibility statement, and all of the different types of content, it tells you how accessible they are, like they meet the various standards or they don't, and then you can choose not to use the ones that don't. And it's got lots of different types of content as well, some of which I've got examples to show you. I also like the fact that you can build in feedback into the object, so you really don't need to know any coding skills or anything like that. It's very easy. I've got some screenshots which I hope will encourage people to have a go, because it really is super simple. So those are the reasons why I chose it. We had it embedded into you can download a WordPress plugin. We do have Canvas, but our Canvas team weren't that interested at the time in downloading the plugin. They had just launched it, and I think they had a lot on their plate. So I petitioned our web team to download it into our WordPress account, which they did, as long as I did everything. And then so we've used it within WordPress, and it's super easy. The main challenge that we've got at the moment, which I don't necessarily have an answer to, is getting actual granular usage figures, because I think there is a plugin, but it's not very updated. So what we have, what we can rely on is kind of Google Analytics from page visits, but not necessarily whether they sort of used the tool and what scores they got, for example, use the object that we made. But that's something I've got on my mind, but I think having these things available is fantastic. So here's an example of the course presentation content type. You can create interactive presentations, so it's a lot like creating a PowerPoint, but you can embed quizzes into it, lots of different types of quizzes, not just true or false, but you can embed lots of different types of things, and you can build in feedback, and they get a nice summary at the end, so it tells them what they did, which I quite like. So you can see an example here. The other type of content that we've used is a fill in the blanks activity. So I wouldn't know how to do this myself. I have no idea how to make a fill in the blanks activity where you can actually type things in or drag and drop words. But this makes it super easy. And I've took a screenshot here of the actual back end, so you can see what I see and how you actually make it. And it's so easy. All you do is the word that you want to be blank, you just put asterisks around. Anybody can do that. So it's super easy to build this, but you just need a bit of creativity in how you apply that, I think. So for this one, we've got some feedback depending on what their score was, and you can tailor that. So again, really easy and a great content type to use. This is an example of a hotspot activity. So you can upload images and things, and just you decide where hotspots are. So I decided to use this as a bit of a here are 4 books. Which one do you think would be the best to answer this particular question about the impact of social media? And again, you can build in custom feedback. Each book is its own hotspot, so it has its own feedback. So I think there's probably like multiple uses for this, but this is what I came up with. This is an example of a drag and drop activity. So we've used it to kind of figure out, for students to figure out what's the best type of resource depending on what they want to do. And again, I've took a screenshot of the back end so that you can see, really it's very easy. Once you upload the images you want to put in, you just need to tick a box to link them, and that's it. There's really not a lot of technical skills involved in needing to use this. So I just created the graphics on Canva, which again is free, and probably everybody knows that by now because I think everybody uses Canva, but if you don't, you should start probably. And you just create drop zones here and connect the boxes by ticking them, and then the student just, at the back end you publish it and the student gets this drag and drop activity. So it's again, lots of different content types. This is a quiz that was created by Susie Williams, our art librarian. She embedded this into her Canvas space because she's got a module area for new students who were getting inducted into the library and just given a whole series of things for them to know about. So these were activities that she embedded, and she has tailored feedback for her students. So I've got examples of the different feedback that Susie provided depending on what their answers were. So it isn't just me that's using it. We've tried to disseminate this across the whole liaison team. I think it has multiple uses, to be honest. So I thought it would be useful to give you the links. I've actually got, and I know that Susie's been putting some of the links. There's a link to our blog site, the NE CILIP blog, in the chat. So I've just published recently, just like the last few hours, a post with some embedded examples, because a lot of the examples aren't really super open to the public, but I have embedded some examples onto the blog post so that you can go on and have a look and do the activities if you want to. And you can sign up for H5P for free and just practice on there. You don't even need to download anything. And so some useful links on there for you, but I'm excited about it. It's really easy, and that's why I wanted to tell everyone about it. I think that's probably it, isn't it, for me? 5 minutes.
Thank you, Leanne. That's great. You've got 3 minutes left before we move on. So I don't know if there's any questions out there. That was short but sweet and lots of information there, and it's great you've put those links as well so people can find out more. I'm still a little scared, but that's because I'm not very good with techie stuff, but it looks really good and very impressive. So any questions out there at all, folks? I think we might have some people looking into that a little bit further before they come back to you with the questions.
I think it just requires looking into, but
yeah. Okay. Oh, Matt said, are the drag and drop activities accessible?
Yes, I believe so. So when I chose before I decide what content to use, before I dive in and build anything, they've got a big accessibility list, lists all of the different types of content and what, how it's accessible or not, as the case may be. I think there's maybe 3 things out of a massive list that don't meet the various, web-based accessibility criteria. So the fact that I've used it, I think I will have checked that it will be. But I've got a link here to the content type accessibility, so you can actually have a look, and it's got a lot more detail.
That's great. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, and Anne's just saying they've had a play with it at Newcastle, and they said it's very easy. So that's good to hear. Okay, thank you, Anne. And thanks very much for that, Leanne. Brilliant.